Hello, sixth graders. It's me, Mrs. James. I'm back to finish reading chapter 16 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We are at the top of page 270. We are at the top of page 274. Get there. And get your eyes on the page. Let's everybody follow along. Okay? At the foot of the first set of stairs, they spotted Mrs. Norris skulking near the top. Do you remember who Mrs. Norris is? She's Filch's cat. So imagine if we had Miss Jackson and Miss Jackson was here and she was looking for everybody's phone, but then she has a pet cat. And when she's downstairs or when she's somewhere else, that cat finds people's phones and that cat checks on everybody and reports back to her all the stuff that you guys are doing. Okay. Oh, let's kick her. Just this once, whispered Ron in Harry's ear, but Harry shook his head. As they climbed carefully around her, Mrs. Norris turned her lamp-like eyes on them, but didn't do anything. They didn't meet anyone else until they reached the staircase up to the third floor. Peeves was bobbing halfway up, loosening the carpet so that people would trip. "Who's there?" he said suddenly as they climbed toward him. He narrowed his wicked black eyes. "Know you're there, even if I can't see you. Are you goalie or ghosty or wee student beastie?" He rose up in the air and floated there, squinting at them. Should call Filch, I should, if something's a-creeping around unseen." Harry had a sudden idea. "Peeves," he said in a hoarse whisper. "The Bloody Baron has his own reasons for being invincible." Peeve almost fell out of the air in shock. He caught himself in time and hovered about a foot off the stairs. "Oh, so sorry, your bloodiness, Mr. Baron, sir," he said greasily. My mistake. I didn't see you. Of course I didn't. You're invisible. Forgive old Peevesy his little joke, sir." "I have business here, Peeves." So Harry's pretending like he's a ghost because he's got the invisibility. They have the invisibility cloak on. "I have business here, Peeves," croaked Harry. "Stay away from this place tonight." "I will, sir. I most certainly will," said Peeves, rising up in the air again. "Hope your business goes well, Baron. I'll not bother you." And he scooted off. Top of page 275. "Brilliant, Harry," whispered Ron. A few seconds later, they were there outside the third door corridor, and the door was already ajar. "Well, there you are," Harry said quietly. "Snape's already got past Fluffy." Uh-oh. Seeing the open door somehow seemed to impress upon all three of them what was facing them. Underneath the cloak, Harry turned to the other two. "If you want to go back, I won't blame you," he said. "You can take the cloak. I won't need it now." "Don't be stupid," said Ron. "We're coming," said Hermione. Harry pushed the door open. As the door creaked, low, rumbling growls met their ears. All three of the dogs' noses sniffed madly in their direction, even though it couldn't see them. Yuck. What's that at its feet?" Hermione whispered. "Looks like a harp," said Ron. "Snape must have left it there." "Why would they need a harp?" Do you remember? Why would they need a harp? Okay, hopefully you remember that, because that's going to be on your test. "Snape must have left it there. It must wake up the moment you stop playing," said Harry. "Well, here goes." He put Hagrid's flute to his lips and blew. It wasn't really a tune, but from the first note the beast's eyes began to droop. Harry hardly drew breath. Slowly the dog's growls ceased. It tottered on its paws and fell to its knees, then it slumped to the ground, fast asleep. Keep playing, Ron warned Harry as they slipped out of the cloak and crept toward the trap door. They could feel the dog's hot, smelly breath as they approached the giant heads. 276. I think we'll be able to pull the door open, said Ron, peering over the dog's back. Want to go first, Hermione? No, I don't. All right. Ron gritted his teeth and stepped carefully over the dog's legs. He bent and pulled the ring of the trap door, which swung up and open. What can you see? Hermione said anxiously. Nothing, just black. There's no way of climbing down. We'll just have to drop. Harry, who was still playing the flute, waved at Ron to get his attention and pointed at himself. You want to go first? Are you sure? Said Ron. I don't know how deep this thing goes. Give the flute to Hermione so she can keep him asleep. Harry handed the flute over. In the second's silence, the dog growled and twitched, but the moment Hermione began to play, it fell back into its deep sleep. Harry climbed over it and looked down through the trapdoor. There was no sign of the bottom. He lowered himself through the hole until he was hanging on by his fingertips. Then he looked up at Ron and said, If anything happens to me, don't follow. Go straight to the Owlry and send Hedwig to Dumbledore, right? Right, said Ron. See you in a minute, I hope. And Harry let go. Cold, damp air rushed past him as he fell down, and flump. With a funny, muffled sort of thump, he landed on something soft. Top of page 277, sixth graders. He sat up and felt around, his eyes not used to the gloom. It felt as though he was sitting on some sort of plant. It's okay, he called up to the light size of a postage stamp, which was the open trap door. It's a soft landing. You can jump. Ron followed right away. He landed, sprawled next to Harry. What's this stuff? Were his first words. Dunno, some sort of plant thing. It's supposed to be here to break the fall. Come on, Hermione! The distant music stopped. There was a loud bark from the dog, but Hermione had already jumped. She landed on Harry's other side. We must be miles under the school, she said. Lucky this plant thing's here, really, said Ron. Lucky? Shrieked Hermione. Look at you both! She leapt up and struggled toward a damp wall. She had to struggle because the moment she had landed, the plant had started to twist snake-like tendrils around her ankles. As for Harry and Ron, their legs had already been bound tightly in long creepers without their noticing. Hermione had managed to free herself before the plant got a firm grip on her. Now she watched in horror as the two boys fought to pull the plant off of them. But the more they strained against it, the tighter and faster the plant wound around them. Stop moving, Hermione ordered them. I know what this is. It's Devil's Snare. How do you think Hermione knows this, guys? Because she knows everything. How does she know everything? She reads a ton, a lot, all the time. Oh, I'm so glad we know what it's called. That's a great help, snarled Ron, leaning back, trying to stop the plant from curling around his neck. 278. Hold on. Okay, I was just checking to see how many pages we have left, and we're going to do this. We're going to finish this chapter, guys. We have to. All right. Shut up. I'm trying to remember how to kill it, said Hermione. Well, hurry up. I can't breathe. Harry gasped, wrestling with it, curled around his chest. Devil's Snare, Devil's Snare. What did Professor Sprout say? It likes the dark and damp. So light a fire. Harry choked. Yes, of course, but there's no wood, Hermione cried, wringing her hands. Have you gone mad? Ron bellowed. Are you a witch or not? All right, said Hermione, and she whipped out her wand, waved it, muttered something, and sent a jet of the same bluebell flame she had used on Snape at the plant. In a matter of seconds, the two boys felt it loosening its grip as it cringed away from the light and warmth. Wriggling and flailing, it unraveled itself from their bodies, and they were able to pull free. "Luckily you pay attention in herbology, Hermione," said Harry as he joined her by the wall, wiping sweat off his face. "Yeah," said Ron. "And lucky Harry doesn't lose his head in a crisis. There's no wood, honestly." "This way," said Harry, pointing down the stone passageway, which was the only way forward. All they could hear apart from their footsteps was the gentle drip of water trickling down the halls. The passageway sloped downward, and Harry was reminded of Gringotts. With an unpleasant jolt of heart, he remembered the dragon said to be guarding vaults in the wizard's bank. If they met a dragon, a fully grown dragon, Norbert had been enough. Page 279. "Can you hear something?" Ron whispered. Harry listened. A soft rustling and clinking seemed to be coming from up ahead. "Do you think it's a ghost?" "I don't know. Sounds like wings to me." "There's light ahead. I can see something moving." They reached the end of the passageway and saw before them a brilliantly lit chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. It was full of small, jewel-bright birds fluttering and tumbling all around the room. On the opposite side of the chamber was a heavy wooden door. "Do you think they'll attack us if we cross the room?" said Ron. "Probably," said Harry. They don't look very vicious, but I suppose if they all swooped down at once, well, there's no other choice. I'll run." He took a deep breath, covered his face with his arms, and sprinted across the room. He expected to feel sharp beaks and claws tearing at him any second, but nothing happened. He reached the door untouched. He pulled the handle, but it was locked. The other two followed him. They tugged and heaved at the door, but it wouldn't budge, not even when Hermione tried her Alamara charm. "Now what?" said Ron. "These birds, they can't be here just for decoration," said Hermione. They watched the birds soaring overhead, glittering. "They're not birds," Harry said suddenly. "They are keys. Winged keys. Look carefully. So that must mean..." He looked around, top of page 80. He looked around the chamber while the other two squinted up at the flock of keys. "Yes, look. Broomsticks. We've got to catch the key to the door." "But there are hundreds of them." Ron examined the lock on the door. "We're looking for a big old-fashioned one, probably silver, like the handle." They each seized a broomstick and kicked off into the air, soaring into the midst of the cloud of keys. They grabbed and snatched, but the bewitched keys darted and dived so quickly it was almost impossible to catch one. Not for nothing, though, was Harry the youngest seeker in a century. He had a knack for spotting things that other people didn't. After a minute's weaving about through the whirl of rainbow feathers, he noticed a large silver key that had a bent wing, as if it had already been caught and stuffed roughly into the keyhole. "That one!" he called to others. "That big one there! No, there! With bright blue wings. The feathers are all crumpled on one side." Ron went speeding in the direction that Harry was pointing, crashed into the ceiling, and nearly fell off his broom. "We've got to close in on it," Harry called, not taking his eyes off the key with the damaged wing. "Ron, you come at it from above. Hermione, stay below and stop it from going down, and I'll try to catch it right now." Ron dived. Hermione rocketed upward. The key dodged them both, and Harry streaked after it, sped toward the wall. Harry leaned forward with a nasty crunching noise, pinned it against the stone with one hand. Ron and Hermione's cheers echoed around the high chamber. Page 281. They landed quickly, and Harry ran to the door, the key struggling in his hand. He rammed it into the lock and turned it, and it worked. The moment the lock had clicked open, the key took flight again, looking very battered now that it had been caught twice. "Ready?" Harry asked the other two, his hand on the door handle. They nodded. He pulled the door open. The next chamber was so dark they couldn't see anything at all. But as they stepped into it, light suddenly flooded the room to reveal an astonishing sight. They were all standing on the edge of a huge chessboard, behind the black chessmen, which were all taller than they were, and carved from what looked like black stone. Facing them way across the chamber were the white pieces. Harry, Ron, and Hermione shivered slightly. The towering white chessmen had no faces. "Now what do we do?" Harry whispered. "It's obvious, isn't it?" said Ron. "We've got to play our way across the room." Behind the white pieces, they could see another door. "How?" said Hermione nervously. "I think," said Ron, "we're going to have to be chessmen." He walked up to a black knight and put his hand out to touch the knight's horse. At once the stone sprang to life. The horse pawed the ground, and the knight turned his helmeted head to look down at Ron. "Do we have to join you to get across?" Page 282. The Black Knight nodded. Ron turned to the other two. "This needs thinking about," he said. "I suppose we've got to take the place of 3 of the black pieces." Harry and Hermione stayed quiet, watching Ron think. Finally, he said, "Now, don't be offended or anything, but neither of you are that good at chess." "We're not offended," said Harry quickly. "Just tell us what to do." "Well, Harry, you take the place of that bishop. And Hermione, you go there instead of that castle." "What about you?" "I'm going to be a knight," said Ron. "Oh. Do you guys know how to play chess? Some of you? Who knows how to play chess in here? Okay. The chessmen seemed to have been listening because at that words, a knight, a bishop, and a castle. I think they're calling a castle the rook if you play chess. Oh, look what I have here, guys. I have a knight. Anyway, not that you care. Anyway, where are we? Hold on, let me find my spot. Can't find it. We're just going to go. The chessmen seemed to have been listening because at these words, a knight, a bishop, and a castle turned their backs on the white pieces and walked off the board, leaving 3 empty squares that Harry, Ron, and Hermione took. So the knight, the bishop, and the castle, or the rook, these are pieces on the chess board. So there's like almost this life-size chessboard that they have to play to be able to get across. All right. The knight is who Ron's going to be. The bishop, oh my goodness, my husband, he loves chess. And so my dog that I used to have, he died when he was almost 14. His name was Bishop. And everyone thought we named him Bishop because we go to church and there's bishops there at the church. But we really named him after the chessboard. Anyway, they're going to have to play chess. It says, "White always plays first in chess," said Ron, peering across the board. "Yes, look." A white pawn had moved forward 2 squares. Ron started to direct the black pieces. They moved silently wherever he sent them. Harry's knees were trembling. What if they lost? "Harry, move diagonally, 4 squares to the right." Their first real shock came when the other knight was taken. The White Queen smashed him to the floor and dragged him off the board, where he lay quite still, face down. "Had to let that happen," said Ron, looking shaken. "Leaves you free to take that bishop. Hermione, go, on." Top of page 283. Every time one of their men was lost, the white pieces showed no mercy. Soon, there was a huddle of limp black players slumped along the wall. Twice, Ron only just noticed in that time that Harry and Hermione were in danger. He himself darted around the board, taking almost as many white pieces as they had lost black ones. "We're nearly there," he muttered suddenly. Let me think. The White Queen turned her blank face toward him. "Yes," said Ron softly. "It's the only way. I've got to be taken." "No!" Harry and Hermione shouted. "That's chess," snapped Ron. "You've got to make some sacrifices. I'll make my move and she'll take me. That leaves you free to checkmate the king, Harry." "But do you want to stop Snape or not?" "Ron, look, if you don't hurry up, he'll already have the stone." There was no alternative. So Ron's ready to sacrifice himself for this, guys. "Ready?" Ron called, his face pale but determined. "Here I go. Now don't hang around once you've won." He stepped forward and the White Queen pounced. She struck Ron hard across the head with her stone arm and he crashed to the floor. Hermione screamed but stayed on her square. The White Queen dragged Ron to one side. He looked as if he had been knocked out. Shaking, Harry moved 3 spaces to the left. Top of page 284, 6th graders. The White King took off his crown and threw it at Harry's feet. They had won. The chessmen parted and bowed, leaving the door ahead clear. With one last desperate look back at Ron, Harry and Hermione charged through the door and up the next passageway. "What if he'll be all right," said Harry, trying to convince himself. "What do you reckon's next?" "We've had sprouts, that was the devil's snare. Flitwick must have put charms on the keys. McGonagall transferred the chessmen to make them alive. That leaves Quirrell's spell and Snape's—" They had reached the other door. "All right," Harry whispered. "Go on." Harry pushed it open. A disgusting smell filled their nostrils, making both of them pull their robes over their nose. Eyes watering, they saw flat on the floor in front of them a troll, even larger than the one they had tackled, out cold with a bloody lump on his head. "I'm glad we didn't have to fight that one," Harry whispered as they stepped carefully over one of its massive legs. "Come on, I can't breathe." He pulled open the next door, both of them hardly daring to look at what came next. But there was nothing very frightening in there, just a table with 7 differently shaped bottles standing on it in a line. "Snape's," said Harry. "What do we have to do?" So what's happened is they've, each professor has done some kind of a magical potion or magical whatever to stop people from being able to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. And so this one is now Snape's, it looks like. Bottom of page 284, they stepped over the threshold and immediately a fire sprang up behind them in the doorway. It wasn't ordinary fire either. It was, top of page 285, it was purple. At the same instant, black flames shot up in the doorway, leading onward. They were trapped. "Look!" Hermione seized a roll of paper lying next to the bottles. Harry looked over her shoulder to read it. "Danger lies before you, while safety lies behind. 2 of us will help you, whichever you would find. 1 among us 7 will let you move ahead. Another will transport the drinker back instead. 2 among our number hold only nettle wine. 3 of us are killers, waiting hidden in line. Choose unless you wish to stay here forevermore. To help you in your choice, we give you these clues 4. First, however slyly the potion tries to hide, you will always find some on nettle wine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onward, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all are different size. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and second right on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight. What? Hermione let out a great sigh, and Harry, amazed, saw that she was smiling. The very last thing he felt like doing. He's probably confused, like we are, like, what are they talking about? Brilliant, said Hermione. This isn't magic. It's logic, a puzzle. A lot of the great wizards haven't got an ounce of logic. They'd be stuck in here forever. That's a good point. Some of the greatest wizards, they can do magic, they can do all these things, but just logic, figuring out a puzzle, how do we figure this out, they couldn't do. That's brilliant. But so will we, won't we? Top of page 286. And then we just have 2 more pages and we're done, 6th graders. Of course not, said Hermione. Everything we need is here on this paper. Okay. 7 bottles, 3 are poison, 2 are wine. 1 will get us safely through the back fire, and 1 will get us back through the purple. But how do we know which to drink? Give me a minute. Hermione read the paper several times. Then she walked up and down the line of bottles, muttering to herself and pointing at them. At last, she clapped her hands. Got it, she said. The smallest bottle will get us through the backfire toward the stone. Harry looked at the tiny bottle. There's only enough there for one of us, he said. That's hardly 1 swallow. They looked at each other. Which one will get you back through the purple flames? Hermione pointed at a rounded bottle at the right end of the line. You drink that. No, Harry said. No, listen, get back and get Ron. Grab brooms from the Flying Key Room. They'll get you out of the trapdoor and past Fluffy. Go straight to the Owlery and send Hedwig to Dumbledore. We need him. I might be able to hold Snape off for a while, but I'm no match for him, really. But Harry, what if you know who's with him? Well, I was lucky once, wasn't I? Said Harry, pointing at his scar. I might get lucky again. Hermione's lip trembled, and she suddenly dashed at Harry and threw her arms around him. Top of page 287. Hermione, Harry, you're a great wizard, you know. Not as good as you, said Harry, very embarrassed as she let go of him. Me? Books and cleverness. They are more important things. Friendship and bravery. Oh, Harry, be careful. You drink first, said Harry. You are sure which is which, aren't you? Positive, said Hermione. She took a long drink from the round bottle at the end and shuddered. It's not poison, said Harry anxiously. No, but it's like ice. Quick, go before it wears off. Good luck, take care. Go! Hermione turned and walked straight through the purple fire. Harry took a deep breath and picked up the smallest bottle. He turned to face the black flames. Here I come, he said, and he drained the little bottle in 1 gulp. It was indeed as though ice was flooding his body. He put the bottle down and walked forward. He braced himself. He saw the black flames licking his body, but couldn't feel them. For a moment, he could see nothing but dark fire. Then he was on the other side in the last chamber. There was already someone there, but it wasn't Snape. It wasn't even Voldemort. And that's where the chapter ends. Tomorrow we will read chapter 17, and we will be done with this book. Who could it possibly be? It wasn't Snape. It wasn't even Voldemort. If you know, don't tell. Bye, 6th graders.